Om Namah Shivaya, Asenest Fire, here on Way of Dharma, Vidveshaya, Akarshanaya. So yes, our topic for today, guys, I know it's been a while, and Happy New Year to all of you guys. I'd like to thank you for helping me in reaching this many subscribers. It's been a very interesting journey, and I have been enjoying working on this channel, meeting so many different types of people that I've come across on this channel. Thank you for your comments, thank you for your engagement, thank you for liking the videos, and I'm going to talk about the teachings of yoga and the causes of human suffering. So please bear with me, because I will be looking down and checking the notes in making sure that everything goes according to order and everything is perfecto, basically. So with that being said, I'd like to welcome you to Way of Dharma if you are a new viewer, and if you are a returning viewer, please do make sure that you do subscribe, and welcome to the channel. If you are an old viewer, welcome to Way of Dharma. Please make sure that you like and make sure that you share the videos to whoever that you might think would be interested in such information and knowledge. So this is a channel whereby we'll be sharing mantras, which are mantras, chants, satsangs, which are association with spiritual vibrational people, or rather conversations from spiritual people, high vibrational people, me being included in that. So that's one of our satsangs. Yoga in its 8 limbs will be shared on this channel. Subjects of magic and Western esotericism will be shared. How to work with the mind and a bit of quantum physics will be shared. Yoga asanas are also included in Way of Dharma. So let's continue with that being said. So the 5 causes of human suffering and pain according to yogic texts and yoga. Okay. Number 1 would be ignorance or awareness of reality. Number 2, the ego or the false self. Number 3 are your likes or repulsions towards objects. Number 4 are dislikes or repulsion. No, the third one is likes or attraction towards objects. Number 4, dislikes or repulsions against objects. Number 5, the strong aversion or fear of death. The strong aversion or fear of death. Those are the 5 clashes, the 5 causes of human suffering and pain. Let's go through them again. Make sure that you have a pen and paper. Ignorance or unawareness of reality. Number 2, the ego, which is the false self. Likes or attractions towards objects. Number 4, dislikes or repulsions against objects. Number 5, the strong aversion or the fear of death. So these clashes are not separate. One leads to the next, ignorance of the true reality, or ignorance of the true reality, is the root cause of all these clashes. Clashes cause suffering by making the individual identify with things that are transient. Trans means change, basically. If you transmute, you transform, you change. So transient, things that are able to change, basically, or always changing. Likes and dislikes are not very different. They are merely different sides of the same coin. Remember, we spoke of polarity in our previous episode on hermeticism. Polarity, good and bad, are just two sides of the same pole. You check the coin, it has heads and tails. Same thing. Likes and dislikes are two heads or are two sides of the same coin. Clashes continually cause unhappiness because you are trying to protect their present condition. Clashes continually cause unhappiness because we are trying to protect their present condition. They cause unhappiness because we are trying to protect their present condition. All right. So those are the 5 clashes of human suffering and pain, basically. So let's talk more on depth about this. So ignorance, basically, is not being aware of reality. Not being aware that we are living in a reality as a costume. We are not in actuality the costume. What is the costume? It's the human body. Okay, the human body is a costume in which our souls dwell, our true selves dwell. We came into this body to interpret this physical reality, to interpret senses from the external world. So as a result, we could be aware of the true reality, which is that of our true selves, or the true existence of our true selves. Okay, so let me fix my sitting, my posture. So we could be unaware of our true reality or our true selves. Okay, that ignorance of the true reality causes what? A false self. What is the ego? The ego is the false self, a false perception, a false identity of yourself. You start to identify with the things that are changing. I like to say this: your body or your costume. Anyone, please comment in the comment section and confirm this. And those who want to debate this, comment in the comment section. You are not in the same body you were when you were young, or when you were a toddler, or when you were a baby. Suppose I come from another planet. I don't know anything about growth or development or such. I come on Earth, I meet you, or I meet Arsonist Fire. I meet him in this body, in this condition, basically. 24-year-old Arsonist Fire. And then I go back to my planet. And then I come back years later, look for the same body, Arsonist Fire, same dreadlocks, same everything, basically. I will not find the same thing because I'd have grown my beard, I'd have maybe cut off my locks, I'd have changed an attire, I have changed mannerisms, I have changed my perception of reality. So this very same body changes. I don't know if it changes daily, because they say that each and every time our body regenerates and becomes born anew basically. So if I come back years from now, years into the future, and I come back and look for the exact same thing, I wouldn't find the same character, the same arsonist fire, because a lot has would have changed basically. Of course, there would be things that I would use to identify which are the resemblance basically. But then in terms of seeing the body the way it was in the past, it's not that way. When you were a baby, you had small baby teeth, you understand? And then those were replaced, uh, meaning you had to experience a certain change, a transformation into what you are now. So you are no longer the same thing. So in actuality, the baby that was arsonist fire at that time is actually dead. That character, that personality has metamorphosized into something anew. You understand? So we are not we are not the body. You understand? So the ego, the false identity, would be that identifying with the body, which is something which is forever changing, which is something that would make you to have likes or dislikes towards or against certain objects. If you have an identity, you have a personality. When you have a personality, you have your likes and your dislikes. I don't like arsonist fire. I don't like this hair. I don't like how he looks. It's part of your identity. It's part of your perception. Okay. I don't like. I like arsonist fire. I like his hair. I like his eyes. It's your personality. It doesn't allow you to hate arsonist fire. So it's a perception. It's a personality. You understand? So it is formed around a certain identity. So all that identity, that personality, when someone comes to attack it, now you are afraid that they might destroy your reputation, they might destroy you, your identity basically. So you start to to defend that identity, defending that identity, being afraid that that identity is being attacked, is the strong aversion or the fear or the fear of death of that identity. And of course, the final death, which is that which takes you 6 feet under, when your body, your identity ceases to function. You understand? Forgetting that your true self, you are in actuality a soul, trapped inside a human body. So you start to carry that identity into the astral plane, and you start to cause problems for those that come after you. Okay, so now let's talk about the ego in depth. So when you start to form an identity, when you start to form a personality, when you start to form the false self, basically, it works so hard to stay alive, and it works very subtle, on subtle levels of existence basically. So as you grow, you experience pain, you experience pleasure, and then depending on your personality, your mind will be modified to keep your identity safe. Can I check something and return very fast? I'm sorry. So as I was saying, I'm saying that your mind works very hard to keep that identity, that personality safe. By what? By the strong aversion or the fear of death of that personality and identity. So as a result, you start to develop coping mechanisms. When you experience trauma, when you experience pain, a certain part of yourself gets fragmented. You understand? You start to close off that part because of the experience. Understand? And when you start to close off that part, it gets replaced by a certain safety mechanism. Suppose you are going down the street and someone is robbing you. You will either run away and you will either fight. Those are safety mechanisms to cope from that experience of somebody robbing you. That's not your true personality. So you've developed those personalities or those reactions as a coping mechanism from the pain of being robbed. That's not your personality. On a far larger scale, when you experience trauma, betrayal from people who are close to you, later in the future, when you start to perceive of the characters that, or of when you start to perceive the patterns that you would regard or perceive to be the patterns of betrayal or the patterns of being sidelined or that traumatic experience, that coping mechanism, that coping personality will start to come out as a reaction, and then you will be acting out of that safety mechanism. Suppose you are like arsonist fire. You've been betrayed by friends or think you've been betrayed by friends. So later in life, when you are 24, you make new friends and they display qualities or characteristics of those friends that had betrayed arsonist fire before. Arsonist fire will do what? Will cut off that person from their life, thinking that they will betray him. Basically, the personality of arsonist fire that was developed as a result of being betrayed will quickly resurface to protect the identity of arsonist fire. So you understand what we mean when we say or speak of such things. So how would you cure yourself of such things? That's where awareness comes in. Shadow work, it comes in. Be aware of the true reality. When you go through life, automatically, the identity, the personality, the false self becomes more alive automatically. So as you live, as the older you get, you start to accumulate more safety mechanisms of coping, and then your ego becomes bigger and bigger. You understand? You develop those coping mechanisms, becomes thicker, and then it cloaks your true self. You understand? So as it cloaks your true self, you have accumulated debris, you have accumulated debt. You understand? Those personalities we are talking about. So now you are a working safety mechanism. You are a working safety mechanism. So what do? You live out of reaction. So the awareness of your true self would help you alleviate such reactions. Awareness of why you are reacting that way. What is the root cause of those safety mechanisms? Unfortunately, I can't go deeper in trying to explain to you what I'm trying to say, because now you have to experience such a thing to be aware of it. So among the what? Among the I'm sorry, man. Among the coping mechanisms, we have that which is called projection. So when you project, you are actually uh, putting the other person in your shoes. I don't like to say you are putting yourself in another person's shoes, because doing that would lead to compassion and it would lead to understanding of the other person's situation. So when you start to project, you are putting the other person in your shoes, in your mind. You understand? So when you look at Arsonist Fire, you say this maybe. You say Arsonist Fire's dreadlocks are dirty. If I were Arsonist Fire, I would clean them. Who says the dreadlocks are dirty? Your knowledge of that subject. Meaning, the knowledge of that subject, of course, comes from experience. Maybe you've met a German who was dirty in a taxi, who had smelly locks. So now, because Arsonist Fire has these colored locks, you start to say, Arsonist Fire's locks are dirty. Why don't Arsonist Fire wash him dreadlocks, basically? You've never smelled them. You only see this, and then you use your experience or your knowledge of the subject to make a final decision. Later come to find out, Arsonist Fire washes him hair 3 times weekly, and then him hair doesn't smell. So now you've used a wrong knowledge on the subject, all because of what? Projection. You understand? You are projecting your fears, your experiences of life onto someone else, and you are not judging that someone else based on what that someone else is. You are using your past experience and knowledge and the attachment to that person's life to actually diagnose that person, the Arsonist Fire. So among that, we also have that which is wrong knowledge. Wrong knowledge is that you get from an experience, a bad experience or a good experience. Suppose somebody treats you nicely, and then you record the characteristics of that person. There's a certain patterns that you notice from that person who treated you nicely. So now you start to associate those patterns with people who are kind, and then you start to perceive those patterns and qualities as somebody who is kind to you. Same thing with somebody who is rude or not nice to you. You start to have patterns that you use to categorize people that would hurt you. So now you have wrong knowledge of the other person. Based on what? Based on your past knowledge of the subject. So now you will perceive other people as being unkind or being kind to you based off of that knowledge. So you have to see things as they are to actually have the clear vision or the clairvoyance of the subject. So now let's talk about something else, which is karma yoga. Remember, our topic are or is teachings of yoga and the causes of human suffering, and furthermore explanation on yoga. So in yoga we also have karma yoga. Karma yoga is not merely work. Karma means action. So karma yoga doesn't mean merely work or merely action. Karma yoga is doing work with complete awareness but without attachment to the fruit or outcome of the work. Huh. It takes a certain level of courage to be able to do that. The work is the end itself, not the means to attaining some reward, payment, etc. It is selfless work. It is work in which one loses identity with one's ego. I remember going to a certain workplace uh, last year where I was working with a certain people. I was able to be there and I was being sent by everyone to the shops. I was basically everyone's slave, basically. And then I had a counterpart. We began at around the same time, and he wasn't as malleable and flexible as I was. So when he would be sent, he would bicker and try to fight. So as a result, he was chased away and he lost the work. So I got to stay there a little while longer because of this flexibility of mind and this awareness of the true self that I am not this body and I am not this character. If you want to insult Arsonist Fire, you can do it. I saw someone in the comments. Uh, I don't want to mention his name or her name. They are not worthy of such renown. To be worthy, you have to do the works of karma yoga. So this person says that the way of the gorilla instead of the way of dharma. And this person once commented before saying that when a gorilla becomes a spiritual master. Now let me show you an example of such a person, uh, such a person's stupidity. So such a person would perceive arsonist fire as a gorilla based on the past experience of what had happened. I don't know if it's a white man or an Indian person, but I suspect somebody who was close to me. I suspect them. Yes. But anyway, yes. So this person would be calling me a gorilla based on the experience of the past, that of racism, when uh, the white people were calling us gorillas and baboons. So this person is using that wrong knowledge to actually perceive us as fire. So it's fine. In their mind, I am the gorilla. Matter of fact, I am everything. Arsonist fire, I am everything. And yes, I am the gorilla. So this is what the person was saying. So they have wrong knowledge of the subject and they are projecting. Maybe if they are white, if you've seen the resemblance in some of, okay, I don't want to insult white people. I'm sorry, guys. This is not what I mean. But the close resemblance of gorillas, judging from the evidence that was compiled, would be this. I have full lips, and I've never seen a gorilla, chimpanzee, monkey, or a rhesus monkey that would have full lips. So, as opposed to the other race, the white race, most of them they don't have full lips, so they tend to look like this. So, if you liken that or you compare that to the gorilla, you would see that uh, it's more closely related or similar to that of the monkey or the gorilla. So that's where projection comes in. When a person views themselves and sees their lips that they are a gorilla, they try to project it on another race of people, and they call you a gorilla, Om Namah Shivaya. So that's where the subject of wrong knowledge comes from. So karma yoga is the action of doing something without expecting results. This will liberate you from trying to focus too much on the external. Yes, so now let's go into some of my discoveries as a yoga practitioner. I've discovered in yoga that there are two, basically, it has made me more aware of the dual properties of nature, or the dualistic nature of the universe. Everything comes in pairs, and those pairs can be reduced or understood through these two means: physical and spiritual, masculine and feminine. You understand? So I've discovered this while I was doing yoga. You have the external, which is the physical, and you have the internal, which is the spiritual. So these things are closely related, and these things should be united in union, which is that through yoga. Yoga means union. So this is what I actually found out. As within, so without. You have the macrocosmo and you have the microcosmo. The microcosmo is our human body. The microcosmo is that which is internal. And then you have the macro, which is that which is external. You understand? So consciousness is everywhere in the universe, everywhere in the external world, basically. You have this consciousness, basically. Everything external, basically, is consciousness. And in the cosmos, going deep into space. I've also discovered that the very same consciousness, which is deep in outer space, is also deep in inner space. So there's certain parts of your body that symbolizes different levels of consciousness. You have the lower vibration consciousness and the higher vibration consciousness, and these are residing in different parts of your body, which are chakras. The survival level of consciousness, which is the root chakra. You have the sexual level of consciousness, the instinctive mind, which is the sacral chakra, and then you have the confidence or the false identity chakra, which is the manipuraka, which is the solar plexus. When you start to activate those chakras, you expand your consciousness. Suppose you are vibrating on the lower consciousness of the root chakra. When you start to reach the sacral chakra, you've expanded your consciousness. Suppose you are a plant beginning to live, or some inanimate object beginning to live. You are not aware of the reality of sexual copulation. So now you are a human being, your consciousness has grown to that of the sacral or the Swadhisthana chakra. You are aware of sexual expression, you are aware of the sexual energy, and then you become a false identity person, a egotistical person. You realize your true power or your higher power. You realize it by reaching the fire chakra, the manipuraka chakra, the chakra of power, the solar plexus. You start to be aware of that consciousness that you have within, and then you arrive at the heart chakra. Man, So many problems right there. I honestly, okay, but what I'll tell you is this: my true goal is union with true self. I don't know how I'm going to reach there, but when you start to reach the heart chakra, you start to realize that this is no child's play. Uh, it's a very very tough one. So that's how your consciousness will expand. Okay. Also, I've discovered this. Seeing that the consciousness is outside externally and it's inside. To be aware of the consciousness of the universe, you have to be able to vibrate on a consciousness whereby all of your chakras are in alignment. What am I saying? In simple terms, the energy of the body should be able to circulate throughout the entire body so that you can be aware of those higher qualities and those higher consciousness. Basically, what I'm saying, to be aware of those higher levels of vibration, those higher frequencies of perception, you have to be having an energy circulation throughout the body. This is where the nadis come into play. 72,000 astral pathways carry energy into your chakras and circulate throughout your entire body. Certain parts of your body symbolize or are in actuality certain parts of the universe and the cosmos. If you don't have energy reaching there, you won't be able to perceive an expansion of consciousness in the macro cosmic scheme of things. You understand? If your body or your body's life force prana is not circulating, you will only be restricted to the level of consciousness of which the circulation takes place. If you circulate your consciousness on the sacral chakra, the instinctive mind, you get to live based off of instinct and you won't be able to perceive of the higher minds. So guys, I don't know how this was created, but it's exactly like this. The same elements which are inside of your body are the same elements you find in outer space, in your outer immediate reality. Guys, there's basically everything inside of your body. Every element that you would perceive in the external world is inside your body. You understand? Every planet, everything in the universe, basically. That awareness of cosmos is inside of you. If your energy doesn't circulate throughout your entire body, you won't be aware of those levels of vibrations and you won't be aware of the true union of self or the true reality, which is we are one with the moon and the sun, we are one with the most high one. Olawi is one, Olawi is one. You understand? We are one. Basically, the universe, it's the same thing as the body, you understand? So the temple of Solomon is in actuality the human body, temple of soul of man. Yes. So I was also aware of this, the parasympathetic system and the sympathetic system. Those systems are also, they are also two things, the spiritual and the physical, basically. The sympathetic would be the physical representation of your system, and then the parasympathetic would be the spiritual uh, s- spiritual uh, consciousness of yourself. So these two should be united, and this can be achieved by so many things. There's yoga asanas that balance those two. There's cycles of the day or during the night which symbolize the union of these two. We have a practice in Hinduism which is called Sandhya Vandanam. Sandhya Vandanam is a worship basically done at the moment whereby the parting of the day and of the night is happening or taking place. 6 a.m. is when the sun rises in the morning. So that space of time whereby the sun is about to rise and the night is about to get away from the the day, that in between symbolizes the merging of two worlds, which is the parasympathetic and the sympathetic system, the spiritual and the physical. So that's when you do Sandhya Vandana. That's when you do yoga to actually remember I said it's all about symbolism. Sandhya Vandanam symbolizes yoga in the external view of things, which is the sun, not the night and the day, uniting. And then later on, 6 p.m. and 7 p.m., the union of day and night again. Uh, you understand? So it's a yoga. It is symbolized externally. Remember, I told you that everything inside the mind of the universe is an actuality. Symbols, symbols, symbols. So Sandhya Vandanam symbolizes yoga. So the parasympathetic and the sympathetic system are also classified or symbolized as the introvert and the extrovert. If someone thinks too much, then meditation is impossible. And if one's attention is continually directed to the outside environment, meditation is impossible. If you are an introvert, you can't meditate. If you are an extrovert, you can't meditate. You have to be in the middle of the two. Then you'll be able to meditate because you'll be having the union of the introversion and the extroversion. So you'll be able to do what? Yoga. So the ideal condition is where two systems are balanced, and that is what Hatha Yoga does. Interesting. As an occultist, when you go into spirituality, there's the left hand path and the right hand path. They like to fight, saying, I'm right hand path, I'm left hand path. This is not the yogic mind. You understand? The yogic mind realizes that there's a middle path. And then there's people that say that they are neither black magicians or white magicians, they are gray magicians. And then you ask them, what exactly are they saying? They say that they practice dark arts and they also practice the white or light arts. Okay, that's a symbolism of union of two opposites. But in actuality, this is what you do. Yoga means union, of course. In another way, you can look at it that way. The black and the white magician uniting, or the gray magician doing those two practices, it's a yoga, uniting the two forces for the betterment of self. But what I'm saying, yoga is the middle path. You have to be able to do those practices or those paths to actually be in the middle. But that's even more far-fetched. Balance the two sides within your body, the left and the right hand side, the sympathetic system and the parasympathetic system, the left brain, the right brain, your bad actions and your good actions, morality and immorality. You understand? External, internal. Balance those two and actually do the true yoga. So yoga is in actuality the union of two opposites and isn't actuality the true middle path. So everyone has their role in this life, and we all have our nature, and we will behave accordingly. The low vibration nature will do low vibrational stuff. So why do we try to influence and advise their behavior? Why? Because you would want to change them. Why would you want to change them? Because you wouldn't want yourself to be in that state. So you start to project your life into that person. You start to want to live life for them on 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 their you start to want to live life for them. So you try to influence them. You are attached to them basically. So that's where you get scammed. So yes, that's where the art of projection comes into play. So the best thing would be to vibrate on your level and try not to change the other person. And if change is something that should be happening in that person's life, it would happen, but don't coerce or try to change the other person, because you would be trying to live their life for them. Let them live the way they are according to their nature, low vibration and high vibration. And don't be surprised when you get uh, low vibration bad results from low vibrating people. I remember last year, because now it's 2023, I was with a few friends of mine, which are low vibrating friends basically. They drink alcohol, they smoke these kinds of drugs, and they do the psychedelics for a low vibrational cause, of course. So I tried to associate with them because now I was sad and depressed at the time. This was last year, mind you, about 4 months back. So these guys busy drinking, and I was depressed, and I felt even more depressed. Okay. So now it was late in the night, and they were supposed to accompany me back to where I stay. So they accompany me halfway, and they leave me to come back home at around 11 p.m. Mind you, there's people that rob you, there's killings that can happen, because now people steal body parts to try and make muti or herbal witchcraft concoctions out of your body parts. So these guys, they leave me halfway. It's not even halfway. They leave me far, and there's four of them, mind you. Uh, they leave me to live alone. There's one of me, there's four of them. Instead of accompanying me, they let me be. So I felt so sad because they did this to me. They basically they showed me that I am nothing important to them, basically. So I was sad as a result. But then I sat down and I thought, okay, what am I expecting these people to do? I went to them knowing that they are low vibrational people, and why would I expect good results from them? It's not their nature. So instantly, I was liberated from feeling like I was a victim. I went to those people knowing their nature. So when they act out their nature, I should have expected it because it's their nature. That's what they will do. They are low vibrational people. You understand? So I can't go to a low vibrational person and expect a different result. You understand? So every person is according to their nature, and every person is where they are according to their thought patterns and their vibration. So don't be trying to change anyone. You understand? So don't expect anything different from low vibrational people. Same with high vibrational people. Don't expect them to do something which is low vibration to you. You understand? Because they are high vibrational people. That's their nature. You understand? So That's what I've come across. The teachings of yoga. I'm so grateful to Swamiji and the other Swamiji over there. And I'm also grateful to Mahadeva, Mahalakshmi, Kamadeva, Baglamukhi, uh, Tripura Sundari, Ma Durga, Shri Hanumanji, and Mahasaraswati, Mahapratyangira, Surya Deva, and Chandra Deva, and all the grahas. And I'm grateful for the entire universe, grateful for my ancestors. I'm grateful I have a beautiful, blissful life. Uh, I had changed my view of my life. I thought that it was negative, but according to my mind, it was. Uh, Mind is also something which is changeable and flexible. So I change it and I feel blissful. My life is beautiful. I am grateful to my mother, to my family, to those of you that say they love me, to the supporters of Arsonist Fire through Way of Dharma. I'm grateful to the creative force behind everything. I'm grateful to my true self. I'm grateful for the good and the bad of this world, and I'm thankful what we seek is not in the sky, it is within you and I. Om Namah Shivaya, Asinist Fire, here on the Way of Dharma.